So your first thing, you figure out that this is not going to happen. How many months did you have at that point to put on a whole fair, essentially from the ground up, although it had been done before, but you didn't inherit any of that?
Maybe 2 months.
2 months. Okay.
Something like that, maybe 3.
What if today's entrepreneurs start out smaller than you think?
Yeah. I'm Toby Lyles and my esteemed son,
Maverick Lyles.
And today we're talking with Sabine McClintock, who was kind enough to lend us her time. She runs McClintock Art. We also have a cat joining us today. This is Autumn. She decided to make her first appearance.
Yeah. First debut on the podcast.
Yeah, so not only does Sabina run a McClintock Art, but she also helps do a craft fair, which is building our youngest entrepreneurs.
Yeah. We also have our newsletter, which I enjoy a lot. We just we share kind of stuff we're learning from the podcast as well as some fun stories. So if you have not checked that out, that's votw.substack.com.
And here's Sabina McClintock.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm all that special. I don't really think that the ideas I have are unique at all. I just look at examples, I think, and if I think I have it in me to try, then I at least try. But I don't think I'm all that special in terms of strengths or smarts or anything. I think the reason I continued the craft market, I didn't start it, was just that there was an obvious need. There were lots of kids who enjoyed it. This is a craft market for homeschool kids, so they needed a volunteer pretty much to make it happen. And because they're scattered throughout the city, more or less scattered, there are some really big groups in town. There's some work involved in trying to get them together, find them and all that. And since it was already there, the craft market, but the people who organized it moved away, another homeschool mom and I just talked about, shouldn't we continue it? And we did.
There's always this moment when, what do I call this? Like a moment of responsibility almost. Like there's this time where we can choose what we want to do next. We can either step up and we can do something, or we can be like, that one's not for me. What did the conversation look like? Were you just talking with a friend in that moment? Like, what was the moment that choice was made?
I think it was sort of an email or a post of my friend who said, shouldn't we do this? And she was involved at the time, and she was big pregnant, and it wasn't so sure if she's even going to make it to the craft market herself because of that. But we just kind of got the ball rolling, and it was clear that somebody has to be in charge with a sign-up sheet and respond to people who have questions. And we had a lot of help, though. Like a lawyer helped with composing the waiver for the facility and stuff, insurance things. It just took off on its own. It's just being a little bit organized to keep track of everybody who comes. And you may have learned about me that I'm not good with names, especially if I see the people only every 6 months or so. And that was interesting, but it's not really a hurdle. It's just a little embarrassing.
So your first thing, you figure out that this is not going to happen. How many months did you have at that point to put on a whole fair, essentially from the ground up, although it had been done before, but you didn't inherit any of that?
Maybe 2 months.
2 months. Okay.
Something like that, maybe 3.
Okay.
At the time, it was fairly easy to get the venue, and the other things were just not that hard. It was maybe harder the first time because it was the first time. There were so many things I hadn't thought about because I hadn't organized any kind of event that size before. It was workable, and then the subsequent homeschool craft markets were not nearly as difficult.
Okay. Yeah, once you do the first one, the next one's a lot easier.
We added, at least for now, a little flyer contest so the kids can send me designs. Okay. And I put the text on the design, on where and when the craft market is, and then we distribute that. Also, the kids came up with a lot of different things right from the beginning, but you could tell that by looking at their peers of what everybody else made and how successful they were, they got more ideas and tried new things and changed up what they had for sale and things like that. You're not obligated to buy because the kids are cuter or anything.
But that does help.
They're all cute. So they know they have to make something that people need and want and it's not a cuteness contest because they're all cute.
There is like a bit of a natural synergy that happens at the fair, and to see all the kids come up with something and then come up with something better the next year. It is homeschoolers, but it's probably a higher level than some people might expect. We'll just say it that way. There's some really good stuff.
So. Yeah, I think even adult craft markets, some people don't expect a high level, but they should probably. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the whole gamut. There are people that are still learning to figure out that you need to think about what people want or need. They just like to do a certain craft and hope their income from it will cover their cost, and that's their prerogative. Or they're serious artists with a passion for some really high quality, highly artistic thing that just happens to be kind of expensive. So they're looking for ways to find their fans. Just think about what the kids learn if they participate in a craft market. First of all, they have to pick a craft or two and try their hands on it. They learn some perseverance, most likely, because this is a project that has to be seen through to the end by a deadline. And it has to be good quality. The parents are probably the quality control for this project. They should get involved in marketing, meaning mentioning it to their grandparents or friends, and inviting people they know. They should think about how they present their product so it looks nice to customers. And then they have to actually talk to customers whom they may not know at all, never seen before, and do the math. If they buy something, stand-up math possibly even. So you have to practice those things potentially with the younger kids before you participate. And I'm sure there's a lot more to learn that I haven't thought about yet.
How many people do you think, how many kids attend that, and how many people do you think go through?
We must have had 200 people at least go through, because somehow all the things the kids made, not all the things, but a large portion of the merchandise that they came up with did get sold every time.
I don't know if you want to talk about your art and your start in the art business. You don't have to, but not only are you running a craft fair, but you're dipping your toes into the art scene as a business.
Dipping my toes.
There you
That's
go.
right. Yes.
How long? I don't even know. I remember seeing that you were doing some art. I feel like I could be totally off on this. I feel like we saw you doing something at one of the state parks or something.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. There's quite a few opportunities in Wyoming, or at least in the Cheyenne area, and then in some other areas, and then in between, I'm not so sure. It seems empty. But
Well, that would be Wyoming.
it's Wyoming. Right. So one of the things that actually got me sort of fired up again when my daughter became a little more independent and I had a little more time to think about my own hobbies. I learned about the arts in the park. No, what is it called? Plein Air in the Park program. So there's a joint venture between the Wyoming State Parks and the Wyoming Arts Council. And they organize this once or twice a year. And they invite people to stay in a state park or to commute there every day for 4 days or so and do some plein air artwork, meaning drawing the state park or painting. And I met some nice people doing that and had a lot of fun. Yeah, so maybe that was the start of getting back into more drawing. So I participated in some of these, sold a few originals, and I noticed that some of my work just kind of lends itself to greeting cards and to just a decoration on top of a folded card. And then I made some, like scan them, found a printer, and sold some, selling some here in Cheyenne mostly and in Casper. And it's been going pretty well. But I feel like I reached sort of definitely a saturation here. This is how many I can sell here, and it's not like it's a big profit item at all. So if I continue it, I have to find other places to sell.
You said you did art as a kid, and then you did, and you kind of just started up recently after your own kid was a little bit more independent. Mm-hmm. Did you do art in between? Did you go in phases? Did you go out in college? Did you art, when you're first married and kids, or did it just completely stop?
I stopped completely for some years when Maggie was really little. But in college, I studied architecture and I had to take some art classes during that time. But that wasn't like a burden at all. That was the fun part. And other than that, I just always had an interest. Occasionally visit galleries and things like that. And I guess I like to tinker with certain things. I have an interest in pottery also. I hope I get that going. That's kind of involved to get going at home. But I am taking classes at LCCC here and there.
That's fun.
Yeah. And again, there's lots of helpful people. So asking others and not be afraid or too proud or something to do that is very, very good. I recommend it.
Entrepreneurship as an option is, I don't see that a lot. Like, then, it's less, I feel like everyone can be an entrepreneur. Like, pretty much, anyone. Because it's not that hard, really. But you just have to have it in your head as an option. And really, as I found out, it's really one of the best options. Especially as you helps build the future. So in the beginning, not, it doesn't always feel good, but in the end, it always seems to be the best option, especially seeing all of the entrepreneurs we have on here. It helps give scale to how just important it is, not only just for money in the end, but also just for your mental health and then, life purpose, and so seeing her build, obviously carry on something that, and I feel like scaled it and to a point where you're giving lots of kids the entrepreneurship is an option. And I feel like that's really good because I feel like we need more of that. And then the world doesn't typically tell us that is a good option. And so, yeah. So seeing her do that and her art business seems really fun as well. So, yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, she has beautiful art. If you haven't checked out her art, her little card, what's the word? Gift cards? Postcards?
Yeah, postcards. No.
Postcards? I'm sorry, Sabine. I forgot what they're called. Little cards. They're very fun. The kind that are in gas stations. What are those cards called? Anyways, those kinds of cards, they're fun. But she just has beautiful art and a beautiful soul. She's really building up entrepreneurs, as you mentioned. She's making it an option. Yeah. It's a choice. And she's focusing on the younger generation where I mentioned in the interview, it's easily overlooked. Yeah. So here she is looking at that and doing the most important work. So she is building great entrepreneurs, and well, I hope you're building something good. So until then, my friends, happy sailing.